Hey friends, it's Mary Giordano and welcome to Unapologetically Wild. Every single day, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, or you can step into the possibility of something even greater. And I'm here to spark that flame within you and inspire you to show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. Messy, scared, and real. Let's get started. I was 19 years old and I was dying. Well, at least I thought I was. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My chest felt tight like someone was sitting on it. No matter how deep I tried to breathe, I couldn't get enough air. My fingers started tingling, and it was in that very moment I was convinced that this was it. I remember sitting on my bed in my apartment at UCF, the University of Central Florida, when it hit me out of absolutely nowhere. One minute I was totally fine, and the next, my entire body was in this full-blown panic mode. I was so scared that I was going to die that I even went as far as picking up my phone to call my parents to say goodbye. That's how certain I was that something was seriously wrong. I started dialing 95447. Then something clicked. No, I'm not dying. This isn't it. Something else is happening. But what? What was making me feel like this? I had never had a panic attack before, but I had heard about them. And I thought, am I having a panic attack? In that moment, I knew I needed help, but I also knew that driving myself anywhere wasn't an option. So I called my boyfriend at the time, who only lived about 10 minutes away, and without hesitation, he picked me up and drove me to the UCF student clinic. That short drive felt like forever. My entire focus was on just trying to breathe. At the clinic, the person at the front desk didn't seem too concerned, which actually calmed me down quite a bit. They brought me to a room, someone took my vitals, they asked me a few questions, and then they handed me a form to fill out. I don't remember if it was a doctor, a nurse, or student nurse who took the form back from me, but they looked at me and they said, "You're having a panic attack. Have you ever dealt with anxiety before?" I hadn't, or at least I didn't think I had. Sure, I was always a little anxious, a little paranoid, but this was something else entirely. They then told me that it was super common for students and I wasn't dying and that I'd be okay. Then they asked if I had a ride, which I said yes, and they proceeded to hand me some Xanax. Within 30 minutes, my body totally relaxed and I could breathe again. It felt amazing. Before I left, they gave me a prescription, which I got filled at the pharmacy, and they told me to schedule a session for biofeedback therapy, which I had never heard of. And at the time, I didn't think much about it, but deep down, I knew I didn't just want to slap a Band-Aid on it. I wanted to actually fix the problem at the root, so I never had to feel that way again. I scheduled my first biofeedback therapy session, and it was absolutely fascinating. They attached electrodes to me, which monitored my physiological responses in real time. I could literally see how my body was reacting to stress. And then the therapist gave me homework. And I thought, okay, bring it on. Let's nip this in the bud. She said, I want you to start meditating. I remember laughing and thinking, meditation? My mind was like a runaway train at that time. How was I supposed to just sit still and think about nothing? But then she said something that changed my entire perspective. She said, if you want to stop these panic attacks, you need to learn how to calm your body before it starts spiraling. Meditation is one of the best ways you can do that. And that's when it hit me. I was about to swap the C for a T. Medication was about to become meditation. And honestly, at 19, if you told me I'd be preaching about meditation decades later, I would have laughed and gone back to overthinking everything and losing sleep over literally nothing. That was almost 30 years ago. And while I haven't meditated every single day since then, meditation has become one of the most powerful tools in my life. It has helped me navigate stress, process emotions, and stay grounded in ways I never thought possible. I look back at 19-year-old Mary, and I just want to give her this big ol' hug because she was stressed, she was anxious, and she was running on empty with a side of horrible insomnia. Every few years, I'll flip through the journals she kept, and I just want to tell her, Mary, breathe. Everything is going to be okay. Today, my anxiety is practically non-existent, almost to a fault. Sometimes I actually wish I worried a little more about certain things. But here's the thing. If your life feels heavy with stress, anxiety, fear, or constant rumination, I get it. But I also want you to know that it doesn't have to be that way. Life is not meant to feel like a constant battle. And yes, there will be challenges, but what's important to understand is navigating them is a process unique to each of us. And I know a lot of people resist meditation. I hear it all the time. And maybe you're one of them. Maybe you've told yourself, I can't meditate because I can't clear my mind, or I can't sit still for that long, or I'm not good at meditating. I used to think the same exact way, but that's exactly why you need it. So in today's episode, I'm breaking down why meditation is so powerful, how to start in just 2 minutes a day. Seriously, that's all you need, and how to actually make it work for your brain without forcing yourself to sit in silence for what may feel like an eternity. Because if you want to shift your stress, calm your mind, and step into a more grounded version of yourself, meditation might just be the missing piece. Let's get into it. So I don't really know how I imagined meditation before I started practicing it. To be honest, I don't think I ever really thought about it until someone told me I needed to do it. And like I said earlier, my first reaction was meditation, because my mind was like a runaway train. It never stopped. And I had no idea how I was supposed to just sit there and think about nothing. And that's really what I assumed meditation was. Silence, no thoughts, some mystical state of Zen I was definitely not capable of reaching. But here's the thing, these beliefs about meditation are very common. So many people still think this way. They believe that if you can't sit in complete silence, if you can't shut your brain off, if you have even one thought pop up, you've failed. But that's not what meditation is. So what exactly is meditation? Well, scientifically speaking, meditation is a practice that trains attention and awareness, helping you achieve a mentally clear, emotionally calm, and stable state. It has been around for over 5,000 years, originating in ancient India as a way to cultivate focus, clarity, and inner peace. But despite being used for thousands of years, so many people still misunderstand it. At its core, meditation is simply training your mind to be present. That is it. It's not about clearing your mind. It's not about forcing yourself into some deep Zen state. And it's definitely not about sitting in an uncomfortable silence questioning your life's choices. Think of it like going to the gym. But instead of building muscle, you're building awareness. You're taking the time to learn how to notice when your mind is spiraling. You're taking the time to learn to stop operating on autopilot. And you're learning how to choose where to place your focus instead of letting your thoughts control you. And here's the best part. You don't need 30 minutes a day. You can start with just 2 minutes. That is it. And we'll get into that later. Don't worry. I'm going to teach you how to meditate in just 2 minutes a day. But before we go there, let's talk about why meditation actually works, because it's not just some trendy self-care practice. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt truly present? Not replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, not worrying about what's going to happen next, not lost in your phone, a to-do list, or a Netflix binge, just here. Because most of us, we're rarely here. We're stuck in loops, reacting instead of responding, caught in stress cycles, and most of us never even notice it's happening. And that's where meditation changes everything. It doesn't just make you feel good in the moment, it actually changes how your brain works. It shifts how you handle stress, how you react to life, and how much control you allow your thoughts to have over you. This isn't about sitting still and breathing. It's about taking back your control. And here's where it gets really interesting, because meditation doesn't just shift your mindset. It physically changes your brain. So if you've ever struggled with overthinking every little thing, feeling overwhelmed and stretched thin, reacting emotionally instead of responding with clarity, or maybe you have a brain like I did and it just won't shut off no matter how tired or done you are. If you relate to any of that, there's nothing wrong with you. There's a good reason. It's because your nervous system is stuck in overdrive. And when that happens, we don't respond, we react. We're constantly reacting to stress, distractions, and that endless to-do list. It's like we're on autopilot, letting our thoughts and emotions run the show instead of actually being present. If you've ever read the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, he explains this so well. If you haven't read the book, add it to your list. It's a must read. He says that most of our stress doesn't come from what's happening right now. It comes from our mind living somewhere else. We're either rehearsing the past or worrying about the future. And meditation, it's one of the most powerful ways to break that cycle and anchor yourself back to what's real, what's actually happening in this very moment. And this isn't just about feeling better, it's about rewiring your brain at a deep level. So let's talk about what's actually happening inside your brain when you meditate and why this practice can literally shift how you experience life. So this is what happens inside your brain when you meditate. Number one, your amygdala shrinks. This is the part of your brain responsible for processing fear and stress. And when it shrinks, you become less reactive to stressors that would normally send you spiraling. Two, your prefrontal cortex gets stronger. This is the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, emotional regulation, and decision making. Meditation strengthens it, making it easier to stay grounded, think clearly, and make intentional choices. Number three, your body stops overproducing cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone that keeps you in a constant fight or flight state. When your cortisol levels drop, like when you meditate, your heart rate and blood pressure decrease, helping you feel more calm, centered, and in control. And four, you shift out of survival mode. Instead of reacting to life based on past experiences, triggers, and patterns, you start responding based on the present moment. This is huge because most of us live in loops, repeating these same stress responses, the same limiting beliefs, and the same fears. Meditation helps you break this cycle. So the bottom line, you train your brain to stop overreacting. You become less controlled by stress and you feel more grounded, calm, and intentional in your choices. And the best part, you don't have to be good at meditation for it to work. Because meditation, like I mentioned earlier, it's not about stopping your thoughts. It's about learning how to respond to them in a different way. So now that you know why it works, let's talk about how to actually do it without overcomplicating it. Here's something you might not expect. The more distracted your mind is, the more thoughts you have, the more powerful your meditation practice becomes. Because again, meditation isn't about stopping your thoughts, no matter what you've been told, no matter what you believe. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Meditation is not about stopping your thoughts. You're not failing at meditation because your mind is busy. That's literally how the brain works. What meditation actually teaches you is how to respond to those thoughts differently. Imagine you're lying on the grass looking up at the sky. Clouds are passing by. Some are light and fluffy, some are dark and heavy, some move fast. Your thoughts work the same exact way. Your job isn't to stop the clouds from appearing, it's to watch them pass without attaching to them. So when a thought pops up, such as, I forgot to email that person back, or what am I going to eat for dinner, or am I even doing this right? Instead of getting frustrated, try this. First, recognize the thought. You can think, oh, there it is. There's the thought. Next, you're going to acknowledge the thought without judging it. You can say, that's just my brain doing its thing. Next, you can even thank it if you want to. So that's going to sound like, got it, brain. I'll deal with that later. Thanks. Then you're going to just release it, just like a cloud drifting by. And then lastly, you're going to return to your anchor. And now you're saying, Mary, what's an anchor? Well, your anchor is whatever you're focusing on during your meditation. This might be your breath, a candle flickering, a sound, a guided meditation, a mantra, even movement like walking or stretching. And every time your mind wanders and you bring it back to your anchor, you're strengthening the muscle of awareness and presence. That's the entire practice. And the best part, the more your mind wanders, the more chances you get to train that skill. So instead of getting frustrated when your mind starts to drift, recognize that every single time you bring it back, you're training yourself to be more present, more grounded, and less reactive in everyday life. The real power of meditation isn't in those few quiet moments. It's in what happens outside of them. And when you make meditation a consistent practice, everything shifts. You stop reacting emotionally to every little thing because you've now built the ability to pause and think through things and respond mindfully instead. You stop spiraling into stress and overthinking because you're now more aware of the thoughts that are coming into your head, and you've gained the ability to recognize, accept, and release them. You feel less overwhelmed because you're not constantly stuck in the past or in the future. You start becoming aware of when you start wandering and are now able to bring yourself into the present moment. And you make clearer decisions and better choices because you're able to pause instead of just reacting. This is the real impact of meditation. It's about training yourself to live with more awareness, more intention, and more control over where your energy goes. So let's talk about what this actually looks like in real life. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're exhausted, but the second your head hits the pillow, your brain suddenly decides it's time to start analyzing everything. What you said, what you should have said, what you did, what you should have done, what you shouldn't have done, what so-and-so might have meant when they didn't text you back, what they meant when they did text you back, or maybe you started stressing about the million things you need to do tomorrow, and now your nervous system is so activated that you're wide awake and you can't sleep at all. I get it. I used to be the same exact way, but now I can't even remember the last time I laid in bed thinking. Meditation has completely retrained my brain to let go, like those clouds passing in the sky, instead of latching on. Now, when a thought pops up, I don't get sucked into it. I recognize it, I acknowledge it, and I let it pass, and I sleep like a frickin' baby. But it's not just about sleep, because overthinking doesn't just happen at night. It sneaks into your day, too. It shows up when you're making decisions, having conversation, or just trying to enjoy your life. And one of the biggest ways it shows up is worry. That endless what-if spiral we all get caught in. What if I mess this up? What if this doesn't work? What if I can't do it? What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if I'm not smart enough? I used to be stuck in that loop constantly. And don't get me wrong, meditation didn't erase my worries completely, but it definitely decreased them significantly, and it taught me how to respond to them in a totally different way. Be honest, how many times have you wasted an entire day or even a whole week overanalyzing something that didn't even matter? I know this cycle well because I used to live in it. But here's where I have to bring in last week's episode, because if you listen to that one, you know that fear isn't the real problem. It's the story you're telling yourself about the fear. And guess what? Overthinking works the exact same way. It's not about what actually happened. It's about the narrative your brain is running in the background. After years of meditation, those thoughts barely even pop into my head anymore. I don't sit around wondering if someone's upset. I don't waste my energy reading between the lines of a text message. I don't make up stories in my head about why someone didn't reply fast enough. And if an old thought does sneak in, it lasts for a split second before I shut it down. Because meditation has rewired my brain to stop overthinking before it even starts. And that's the goal. Not just catching yourself after you spiral, but getting to the place where you don't even spiral in the first place. And once you realize you don't have to believe every single thought your brain throws at you, that's when everything shifts. And after all this, if you're still not convinced because you don't think you can sit still for long enough, or you still think your mind is too busy, I get it. But I have really good news for you. Meditation is not a one-size-fits-all. If sitting with your legs crossed in silence doesn't work for you, that's cool. There are so many ways to meditate. You just have to find what works for you. With that, I'm going to go over 5 types of meditation. Number 1, guided meditation. This is probably one of the most popular types of meditation, and it's great for all levels. You are listening to someone walk you through a guided meditation. And there are apps and YouTube videos and even meditations designed for specific moods, stress, sleep, focus, you name it. Number 2, walking meditation. Meditation doesn't have to be done sitting down. Next time you're outside, slow down. Feel the ground under your feet. Listen to the sounds around you. Take a few deep breaths. That's meditation. Number 3, movement-based meditation. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong. These are all forms of moving meditation. If you struggle to sit still, this might be your thing. Number 4, breath work, which is also a type of meditation. This consists of intentional breathing, box breathing, 4-7-8 breathing. There are so many ways to tap into the power of your breath. And number 5, journaling as meditation. Sitting in silence might not feel natural to you, but getting your thoughts on paper, that can be just as powerful. Set a timer, put on some calming music, and try free writing for a few minutes and see what comes up. So if you've ever tried meditation and thought, this isn't for me, I want you to ask yourself, did it not work? Or did you just not know enough about it to keep trying? Or maybe you didn't try a style that fit you well enough to stick with it. Because meditation isn't about forcing yourself to sit still and suffer through it. It's about finding the practice that makes you feel more present, more grounded, and more in control of your thoughts. So don't give up on meditation after trying it once. Try different styles, try different approaches, try different techniques. Because once you find the one that clicks, you'll wonder how you ever went without it. So now that you know that meditation isn't just sitting in silence, let's talk about how to actually make it part of your life. Because if it's not simple, you're not going to do it. And the easiest way to start is committing to just 2 minutes. Because meditation isn't about the length of time. It's about creating the habit of showing up for it consistently every single day. And if you're sitting there thinking, 2 minutes, Mary, that's nothing, then I'm going to tell you, 2 minutes is more than the 0 minutes you're doing now. 2 minutes a day is 14 minutes a week. That's 730 minutes a year. It's more meditation than 99% of people will ever do. And soon, 2 minutes might become 5, and 5 might become 10, or maybe it won't, and that's okay too. The point is to start, and here's how. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Get comfortable, sit in a chair, on your couch, whatever works. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Focus on one thing. You can count your breath, you can play a song, a mantra, or even just noticing how your body feels. You can start in your toes and work up. And if none of these feel like they're working, you can download one of the many meditation apps I have listed in the show notes. Remember, the moment your mind wanders, because it will, gently bring it back to whatever anchor you're using. That's literally it. And if you stick with it, those 2 minutes will have the power to change your life. And remember, 2 minutes a day is always better than 0 minutes. At the end of the day, meditation isn't about sitting perfectly still, achieving enlightenment, or following some strict routine. It's about learning how to be present in your actual life. It's about breaking free from autopilot. It's about creating space between your thoughts and your responses. It's about learning how to navigate stress, emotions, and life with more clarity and ease. And the best part, it doesn't matter if you start with 2 minutes or 10. What matters is that you just fucking start. Because meditation isn't something you get good at. It's something that over time rewires the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you move through life. So as we close out, let me ask you this. What would change for you if instead of reacting to life, you had the space to actually respond? How different would your days feel if you weren't constantly stuck in your head, overanalyzing, overthinking, or stressing about things you can't control? What if you could master the pause, the space between your thoughts and your actions, and actually choose how you want to show up? Because that's what meditation gives you. And once you experience that shift, it's not just life-changing, it's life-defining. Thanks for tuning in today. If this episode hit home, subscribe and share it with a friend, because together we can bring more women into this wild, unapologetic space. Remember, waiting until you feel ready is the fastest way to nowhere. So show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. And don't forget to subscribe to my Unapologetically Wild Chronicles. The links in the show notes. Until next time, stay wild.